Do you want to learn how to make this leprechaun? Follow along with me and I'll show you how. The things you're going to want to gather before you start is a pencil, an eraser, and maybe some markers to color with. My outline that I did my picture with was with a black Sharpie marker, but you can use the black marker that comes in your marker set. If you don't have markers, you could use crayons and that would work great too, or colored pencils or anything you have laying around the house. So let me put this up on my whiteboard and I'll walk you through the steps. Now, anytime I am talking too fast or I'm going too quick for you, just pause the video and rewind. And then you can just keep going as you feel comfortable. I'm going to be using just an Expo dry erase marker because I'm doing it on my board. So your picture is actually going to look a lot better than mine because you are using a piece of paper. And you're drawing on a flat surface. I have to draw on the wall. I'm not very good at this. Please don't make fun of me. Here we go. So I am going to be drawing a rectangle. To pretend that that's my paper. You are not drawing that. That's me because I don't have a paper like you. So the first thing you're going to do on your paper, and by the way, the paper I use is just the kind that comes out of the printer, just the copy paper. So I'm going to find the middle of my paper with my finger. I tell all my students, find the middle with your finger and make a tiny dot. Do it really light because you're going to erase it later. Otherwise, it's going to look like he has like a pimple on his nose. And right in the middle, you're going to draw a circle for his nose. Now, don't stress about the nose. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. No one's going to notice it and say, oh my gosh, your circle isn't perfect. You don't need to do that. Now, erase the dot. And now we're ready to do the next part of his face. So we're going to go in and do his eyes. And I like to keep his eyes really close to his nose because if you look, my eyes are very close to my nose. They're not way out here. They're not up on my forehead. So I'm going to draw a curved line for his eyes. He already looks happy, doesn't he? See, he already has happy eyes. So when you make your eyes that curve up like that, that's because when we're smiling, our eyes lift up like little rainbows. Next, I'm going to draw the side of his face. I'm just going to draw a short line very close to his face on both sides. And then we're going to draw his mustache, his sideburns, which is the hair right here on the side of his head, and then his beard. So I'm going to start with his mustache. So right underneath his nose, I'm going to draw a short line. And I'm going to begin by drawing the side of his mustache. This would be the part that would be coming right here out of his nose. So I'm just going to draw a wavy line and a wavy line on this side. And then underneath, I'm going to draw kind of a furry line for his mustache. Now my mustache is kind of curling up on the sides, but you can just make yours come straight down. And then the side here, this is going to be his sideburns. That's the little side of his hair coming off the side of his head. I'm making mine wavy. You could do it straight. And then his beard is going to be just a bumpy line underneath. And you could make his beard super long. It could go all the way down to his toes if you want to. Okay, next, we're going to go up here to just above his head, and we're going to work on his hat. So the most important part of his hat is that brim. That's the part that's right by his eyes. Now, if you make your brim higher on the head, that'll work too. But I'm going to make mine a little bit longer than the side of his head. Do you notice mine kind of curves up on the side? So I'm going to curve it up just a little bit. Doesn't it kind of look like I'm starting to make a cowboy hat? It would be the same thing if we were doing a cowboy hat. Then I'm going to do the same thing again right next to it. Now this line I'm drawing is right next to the other line. That's called a parallel line. They're both running the same direction. So there's his brim. Now the next part of his hat is the top part of his hat. Now you could do it straight up. It could be super short. It could be really tall and long. That would be really fun actually. But I don't have a lot of room on my paper, so I'm going to just bring mine up, but I'm going to flare it out a little bit. See how I kind of tilted it out a little? Now in between here, we're going to draw the band of his hat. So that would be like a ribbon. That would be right near the brim. So I'm just going to go like this and draw a ribbon that goes across. And then you see that buckle? So what shape is that buckle? It's a square, right? So I'm going to make a square. I made my square a little bit above, right there. I'm going to use those same lines to draw the side of the buckle and then the bottom. So now I have a little box here, a bigger box around it. I'm going to erase those two lines right there. And then there's a little piece inside the buckle. So if you ever have a buckle on your pants, there's a little piece, a tongue, that holds the buckle closed. It goes through a little hole in your belt. So I'm just going to draw a little, kind of a rectangle shape for the tongue. And now we're going to start to work on his body. So I'm going to begin first by drawing a short half of a rectangle shape. Kind of looks like he has a dress on, but we'll put some legs next. And then I'm going to go right under here and draw a very short line underneath, and then two lines close together. This is going to be the inside of his legs. So it kind of looks like we're drawing a triangle right here. Then I'm going to draw another line on this side. So there's one leg, and another line on this side. Now if you notice, his legs look really skinny and small compared to his big, huge head. That's okay. That's the way I like to draw. I'm not worried about that. If you want to make his legs super long, you can. If you have more room at the bottom of your paper, you can. So let's say your paper was a lot longer and you had a lot more space at the bottom, then you could extend his legs all the way down longer. I don't have a lot of room at the bottom of my paper, so I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to close off the bottom of his pant legs, and now I'm going to start his shoes. So I like to start the shoes actually from the heel. That's the back of your foot. So I'm just going to draw the letter C on this side and a backward C on this side. His legs are kind of touching one another, his shoes. And I'm going to draw the bottom of his shoe. Now, I haven't decided whether I want to give him a regular shoe like this. That would be cute. Or maybe I could give him a shoe that curls up like an elf's shoe like this. Which one do you think? I think I'm going to go with that one. So I'm going to change the end here, and I'm going to curve it up. Now, you can leave the shoes just like this and color them black or brown, or you could add another buckle to match the hat. So I would just draw a square and another square inside. You could draw that little tongue on the buckle right there. Now his pants could be plain. They could have stripes. They could have 4-leaf clovers. I'm just going to give him striped legs. All right, time to work on his arms. So right in this area here, I'm going to be bringing his arms around his body. So I'm going to start over here where his shoulder would be, and I'm going to draw a very short curve. Now, the reason I'm going to make his arms short is I have the tendency to make his arms too long, and then there's no room for him to hold something in the middle right here. So if I make his arms really long, then he's just going to have his hands in front of him, and it's going to look silly, like what's he supposed to be holding? So instead, I'm going to make his arms very short. So I'm just going to draw 2 lines side by side and then close it off. Then I'm going to erase this part of his shirt. We don't need that anymore. So I'm just going to erase that part. I'm going to do the same on this side. And erase this. And then I'm going to draw his hands. So if your hands are in front of you and they're holding something, do you notice my thumbs are up and my fingers are facing this way? So in a cartoon, to keep it simple, we're going to almost make it look like this. We're just going to draw a thumb and then just a round curve. So right here, I'm going to erase this section of his beard. I'll put it back later. I'm going to draw his thumb pointing up and then the little curve of his hand. I know it kind of looks like he has mittens. We can add fingers later, but most of the time I just leave it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Thumb up and a little mitten on that side. Okay, so now I have a space here and we could decide what you want him to be holding. So he could be holding a pot of gold. That would be cute. He could be holding a sign that says Happy St. Patrick's Day. But obviously I don't have a lot of space. I'm going to do a 3 or 4 leaf clover. So the way I draw my clovers is I make a dot in the middle and I draw a heart. And then right underneath that dot, I'm going to draw an upside down heart. And the way I do that is I just make an upside down V and then a W attached to the bottom. Okay, I know it's not straight. That's okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You can barely see the little 4-leaf clover on that one. And then a little stem underneath. Maybe I'll make that a little smaller. I'm going to make it a little smaller so I have room to put a little stem for my 4-leaf clover. Can you see it? So now he's holding a 4-leaf clover. Well, can you believe it? We're done with our drawing now. Isn't that great? Pretty easy. It really wasn't very hard. We made a couple squares. Square, square, square. We made a circle. We made a rectangle for the hat. And now, I'm going to talk to you about the coloring. You want to know how I colored this? I just used these, my Crayola markers. That's a 12 count box. So the 12 count box is just something I had in my classroom. It comes with a skin color that's kind of like an orangey flesh color. Don't worry if you don't have that. You could use a box of crayons that have skin color. You could mix crayons and markers together. You could use a pink. You could keep it white. And remember, your face is the same color as your hands. So if you were going to make this skin color, you want to make your hands skin color too. For his pant legs right here, do you notice what I did? I just kind of did some stripes. I left some of the white paper showing and did some green and black in between. Now for his mustache, do you notice there's a little highlight in his mustache? The way I did that was I colored the mustache yellow first, and then I put some orange over it. Now the beard, I just did straight orange. Everything was just out of this little box right here. The black, I just used the black Crayola marker. The yellow and the green. Do you notice this little part right here where it looks shaded? The way I did that was I colored one long stroke across the paper this way. When you're going this way, it's called horizontal. I went all the way across the hat, and then I went back and did a couple little bit more strokes on the side to kind of make it look like a shadow. I hope you had fun. I hope you liked this lesson. It wasn't very hard, was it? And if you enjoyed this, will you comment below and maybe I'll make a few more. It's my first time. Thanks for being patient with me. I really have no idea what I'm doing, but I hope you liked it. And if you did, that would be great. Give me a thumbs up.